Albert Camus was an Algerian French philosopher, author, dramatist, journalist, and political activist who passed away in 1960, but was once quoted as saying, "Everything I know about morality and the obligations of men, I owed it to football." Well, let's just see how this can translate to an FM tactic, shall we? Now, we are not new to seeing footballing tactics based on philosophers, as we've actually covered in FM23 a Jean-Paul Sartre tactic. But today we're looking at Albert Camus and AdahnGorion's version of what a Camus tactic might look like. Now, I apologize if it's Camus, I am not sure. I'm just taking a guess from Algerian French. But now the page that I got this on the Steam Workshop actually has a ton of information, a lot of important notes that you should definitely check out. Obviously, this is just a sim in my version, so I did not take any control whatsoever. So my assistant coaches and everything do not know anything about these notes and what they should have done. But in this tactic, according to the Steam Workshop page, it says, in this tactic, we will try to retain possession, but also limit the impact the opponent can make. This is done by high pressure after ball loss, passing the ball around, and trying to push the opponent outside to make crosses. This tactic was actually used apparently with FC Midtjylland, apologies for that name, Malmo FF, and Leeds, with great results apparently, according to AdahnGorion, who created this tactic. We're going to check it out with our three of Liverpool, Aston Villa, and in the championship, Ipswitch Town. But first off, the tactic itself, as you can see, it's called the Camus 4-2-3-1, custom vertical tiki-taka. It is a positive mentality, sweeper keeper, next to wingbacks in support, ball-playing defenders right in front, a deep-lying playmaker in support next to a ball-winning midfielder in defend, inside forward in attack on the left, an inside forward in support on the right, an advanced attacking midfielder in attack in the central spot, and then above, an advanced forward in attack. In possession, you can see fairly standard stuff. No overlap on the left and right. It is mixed crosses that work the ball into the box. Tempo is standard actually this time around. In transition, again, counter press, counter, things you see all the time. Out of possession, you have a high press line of engagement, a higher defensive line, and then again, a lot of more things that we've seen already. But now, how did it do for our three teams? Well, at least let's start with the Premier League teams. Well, as you can see, Liverpool come in second, 80 points. Actually, a little bit down from what we usually see them at. Around 85 is where I would expect them to be. And then Aston Villa in 8th place, unfortunately outside of all European competitions completely. So that means that they have not won a cup this season, or at least not ones that they've won in the past with these tactic league testings. So 58 points though, Liverpool's 80 goals, so it's not a heavily attacking tactic either. Well, unfortunately for Liverpool in their schedule, they lose out the EFL Cup 4th round all 0-0 in penalties to Aston Villa, and then to Fulham in the FA Cup final, 3-4 in extras. That's a doozy. And again, if you take control of this team yourself, do all your own match tactics, your tactical switches during matches, your shouts, your training, your transfers, you could probably have done a much better job against Fulham and could have gotten a cup from it. Sadly, they didn't hear. And Europa League quarterfinals, you're out against Atletico, unfortunately, and you didn't even win a single one, didn't even get a single goal. Squad-wise for Liverpool, as you can see, a full season for pretty much everyone. And again, transfers are on. I'm just not going to cover them. Usually in the tactics that we've seen, they don't get to play a major role in a lot of what these teams do. But 25 goals for Salah, Nunez with 20, so not too bad. Assists 15 and 12 and 10 for Gomez, Diaz, and Salah. So that's sadly the only amounts in the triple digits. But average rating, of course, Alexander Bahu came in over the wintertime, 747, but only 6 appearances. 51 for Salah, though, 729 is a fantastic result. Usually he gets a little higher, though, but we'll take 729 any day of the week. Schedule-wise for Aston Villa, EFL Cup doing a fantastic job all the way to the final, where sadly they got crushed in extra time. 1-1 draw, probably, or thereabouts. And then Manchester United get 3 in extras. That's just insane. But Tielemans sent off in the first minute. Hopefully you could do a much better job with that. But FA Cup, unfortunately losing out in the FA Cup 4th round, 0-1 against Fulham. Of course, Fulham. And the Europa Conference League losing out in the semis to Dynamo Kiev. Not the greatest of cup runs. They did actually get somewhat far to the semis, but unfortunately could not make it to the final and beyond. Squad-wise for Aston Villa, no surprises here, although Ezri Konsa isn't usually high up there from what we've seen before. But 17 goals apiece for Diaby and Watkins. Assists-wise, only 2 in double digits. Digne with 18, though. A fantastic job there. Watkins with 10. Average rating, not a lot there. Digne with 7.33 is the highest that is on the team that's actually traveling with the club. And as we look at the data hub, of course, Liverpool is going to have a much better job. Shaky defensively, as you can see, a lot of numbers that are just missing and some high numbers that are conceded per game and XGA, expected goals against per game. And doing some good attacking numbers, though, not quite as high as you'd like to see it. But again, they're not high up in the table, so I wouldn't expect them to be fully up there. But not too bad in attack. And as if we look at the Aston Villa side, pretty much the same. The non-penalty expected goals per 90 is up there, but everything else better than average, but still not as great as they have been in the past. But decent defensively, at least. Premier League stats, actually, Liverpool on top with goals 80. That's it. It's a surprise to me that they're only up there with 80. A lot of the attacking tactics that we've seen in the past and that we've covered in the past for FM24 at least are up there in like 95 to 100 something. So 80 is a little low, but still topping the charts here. But fewest shots against, of course, Liverpool, Aston Villa do actually get something in most dribbles. Unfortunately, some of these are just bare. But if we look at the player overviews, you can see Haaland, of course. Salah up there with 17, though. Not a bad number. But Digne in with assists with 10, so a little higher than average. Most player of the match awards 5. That's definitely on the average side. But again, a lot of numbers that we're missing. Most tackles won, Salah, 114. That's crazy. But key passes, most shots, Salah in there. But overall, not the greatest. And as we switch over to the championship side, you can see Ipswitch Town 28-9-9 sitting in third place, 93 points, 109 goals. Definitely not as high as Norwich, though. 125. Wow. Now, they did get to the playoffs. Unfortunately, they lost out to Blackburn 5-1 in aggregate. That's insane. But they didn't do too bad. Third place, not a bad place to land if you're not going to get promoted at least. The EFL Cup second round is where you lose it out 1-4 against Birmingham. And then the FA Cup fifth round is where you lose out against, well, Liverpool 1-3. Squad-wise, I'm not thinking we're going to see too many big surprises. You do have a ton of people in double digits in goals, which is fantastic. Connor Chaplin with 18 tops the list, though. Ladapo's not even there, apparently. Hurst, though, with 15. Not too bad. 13 assists for West Burns. Broadhead with 10. I mean, you could have a few more people in the double digits range, at least. Average rating, though, 715 for Broadhead and West Burns. So, again, not too bad. Third place is a good place to be. I would like to get a couple of these 6-9s up there in the greens. But anything's possible if you took control of this team yourself and did your own match tactic changes and things like that. Yep, everything is pretty much dominated by Norwich in this. But most points per game. You're in third, so not too bad. But second in goals, 110. Why did it say 109 before? Most shots, there you go with fourth. You've got some numbers in here. Third place for dribbles made. No tackles, you're in sixth after. No best pass completion, shots for. And if we look at the player overview themselves, most goals, no one's in there. Most assists, no. But even you have some team stats. Unfortunately, not a lot of individual stats. But Brandon Williams is in there with most dribbles, as is Leif Davis. You got a couple in for most tackles, so that's not too bad. But overall for this tactic, while, again, Aston Villa's in 8th, they were expected in 10th or thereabouts, so a little bit better. But points-wise, Liverpool in second with only 80. I definitely think you could do a little bit better of a job this season if you took control of it yourself and did your own tactics, your own tactical changes, your own transfers, training, shouts during a match, things like that. You could probably do a little bit better than these guys. But that is it for me, Sefing FM, for the Football Manager blog channel, saying thank you as always for watching. Take care and enjoy.